Hi everybody, today it is September 10th and I want to share with you today some beautiful words from the great Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, who was without question the most important man of the 12th century as far as an influencer goes. And Saint Bernard is a doctor of the church, and want to share with you some of his thoughts from a sermon of his. The he belonged to the Cistercian order, and which was a Benedictine reform. So Saint Bernard tells us in the sermon about the voice of God. He says, "I assure you, my brothers, that even to this day, it is clear to some that the words which Jesus speaks are spirit and life, and for this reason they follow him. To others, these words seem hard, and so they look elsewhere for some pathetic consolation. Yet wisdom cries out in the streets, in the broad and spacious way that leads to death, to call back those who take this path." You also read in another psalm, "God has spoken once indeed, because forever. His is a single, uninterrupted utterance, because it is continuous and unending. He calls upon sinners to return to their true spirit and rebukes them when their hearts have gone astray. For it is in the true heart that he dwells, and there he speaks." You see, my brothers and sisters, how the prophet admonishes us for our advantage. "If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts." You can read almost the same words in the gospel and in the prophet. For in the gospel, the Lord says, "My sheep hear my voice." And in the psalm, blessed David says, "You are his people," meaning, of course, the Lord's, "and the sheep of his pasture. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts." And so there, St. Bernard, who is called the mellifluous doctor of the church, gives us that encouragement to heed the voice of the Lord and how God's voice is unending and continuous and calling us into that relationship of love with him. So later this morning, we are going to have a funeral mass, a mass of Christian burial for Drew Adkins, a beloved member of our church family. That will be at noon with a reception following. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, the Sacrament of Reconciliation will be offered at 6:15 p.m. And this coming Friday is our next movie discussion night, Theater and Theology. Our feature will be The Two Popes, about Pope Francis and Pope Benedict. It is not a documentary, but it is a theatrical film starring Anthony Hopkins as Pope Benedict. And next Sunday, we will have adult Sunday school again around 9:15 in the morning, between the morning masses. Anybody is welcome, Catholic or non-Catholic, as to anything in our parish. And our topic will be how the language of the popes from the mid-20th century through today has evolved on the subject of war and peace. So all are welcome to come on Sunday morning at 9:15. So have a great week and see you in church.